3 lifelong friends, 6 trusty balls, and endless NFL takes. Welcome to 3 Guys, 6 Balls NFL Podcast.
Welcome to episode 65 of 3 Guys, 6 Balls NFL Podcast. I'm your host, Joel, and I'm here with my 2 co-hosts, Will and Avery. Before we get into our topics today, I think some congratulations are in order. We have officially had 3 social media posts get over 100,000 views. Avery's comments on Jacoby Brissett. Right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
Avery's comments on Jacoby Brissett got 145,000 views on TikTok, which is our most watched social media post we've ever had. Will had some comments about the Raiders sitting Fernando Mendoza versus the Rams sitting Ty Simpson a few weeks ago. That worked its way up over 100,000 views this past week on Facebook. And I had a post
wasn't even that spicy, was it?
People just said it was stupid.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. And then I had a post about how I hated the Cardinals draft that also went over 100,000 views on Facebook this week. So I just wanted to say congrats to each of us on the accomplishment of each having over 100,000 people hate us.
One for each of us. That's nice. Good spread.
One for each of us. Yep.
Honestly, if you didn't let me guess, I just had 2 for Avery, 1 for me. We say some stuff.
Yeah, ours are very undeserving. I didn't think that last one was anything special.
But I say it.
Every once in a while, one of the videos just catches a little heat on the algorithm.
Also, I've seen that Jacoby Brissett clip multiple times, so I'm definitely feeding into the views here. But I don't think he said anything inaccurate. I don't think he
hardly even said anything
bad.
I just said, go play football.
Yeah, stop asking for money and play football. You're under contract. Just play football. If you want the money, then play football. How dare you say those words?
I think that one did so well because it was pretty much split 50-50 on if people were for or against what you had to say. So
yeah,
there were some good arguments in the comments.
The one comment, I was like, I saw how many comments there were on TikTok. There were a lot, and I'm like, I don't want to look at these. I looked at some of them, and I'm like, okay, yeah, these are like fair. This is fair. And then one guy said, dude, and I watched the video again, and I'm like, oh my gosh. He's right. Freaking
guess what I responded with? I responded with, dude.
And I watched that video. I'm like, he's right. Nailed it. It's devastating. Absolutely devastating.
How much time do you spend responding to comments, Joel?
Oh, man.
All the time.
I mean,
every
lot throughout the day.
A reply.
A lot throughout the day. I try to respond to every single comment if I can, but this post is just kept going and kept going, not only on TikTok, but on Facebook as well. On Facebook, it's at like 93,000 views. So combined, it's a lot. And it was really, really hard to keep up with all the comments.
That's just because our parents' generation can't figure out how to scroll past it. They can't. What do I do now? How do I do it? What is happening?
I commented 5 times. This video's still playing.
Next. What is happening?
You'd be surprised how many people are actually still on Facebook.
No, I don't think I would, honestly.
Facebook.
I also posted it to MySpace, and it got over 100,000 views on that, too.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me. Did you guys even have a MySpace?
I never had a MySpace, no.
I did.
Yeah, me too. That's where the sluts hung out, me included.
Yeah, it was. Sluts are us, dude. That's basically what that was.
Top 10, top 5, top 8.
Oh.
Who are you putting
your little playlist up there, dude?
Oh,
Who had the best theme? Oh, that was peak.
That was.
It only went downhill from there. That was.
You had to learn how to code to make it work. You know, if we still had MySpace and our technology would be so much further. You had to learn how to read code and fix it that you did not understand, but you somehow just inherently knew how to fix it.
Yeah, someone had a broken page. It was like panic. You're like, dude, your page isn't loading right.
Oh my gosh, you're not wrong. Those are the times. That was peak internet.
Does this officially make us professional podcasters?
I mean,
it makes you a professional podcaster.
I don't want to file taxes on it.
Yes, no.
Fair.
This is.
Although I do it at my house, so I'll claim my whole entire mortgage on it.
File taxes on the whopping $50 we've made in a year.
More money than I've made. Never mind.
All right. Well, to give you guys a quick rundown of today's episode, to start, we're going to pick up where we left off from last week's episode, where we were talking about quarterback situations and what we would do either long-term or this season if we were the GM or head coach of these teams. We did not get to the Falcons, Dolphins, or Jets last week, so we'll talk about those 3 teams today. And then after that, we're going to talk about which teams in the NFL made the riskiest moves this offseason, and if we think those moves will blow up in their face or if they'll pay off. So let's get started with the quarterback situations. And the first team up is the Atlanta Falcons, who have a quarterback battle going on in the offseason between Michael Penix Jr. and Tua Tagovailoa. So, Avery, if you were the Atlanta Falcons, what would you do with their current quarterback situation?
First of all, I would let it play out for the season. I really like Tua being there. I don't like Michael Penix much at all. I think he's just, I don't think he's like bad, but I don't think he's a net positive. I didn't like him at Washington. I don't like him now. I think he's just going to kind of just flounder around the league for a few more years until he's out. I think Tua's going to I think this is a really good spot for Tua to be. I think just a fresh start out of Miami will be nice for him. Not a big fan of Kevin Stefanski. I think I'm saying his name right. But I think they got him on a 1-year deal to it. So I think he just let this year play out, see how it looks, and then sort it out next offseason.
Who do you guys think is going to be the starter to start the season?
Well, isn't Penix just going to be... Nah, he'll probably be healthy to come the beginning of the season, right?
I think he's supposed to be ready for week 1.
Yeah, Tua will start.
It'll be Trevor Siemian.
Nice.
Siemian, however you say it.
Seaman.
Let's go with Seaman. Yeah, let's go with Seaman.
Yes.
It
It'll be
sounds
T-Dog Seabone.
It's more fitting for this podcast if we say Seaman.
Man, they're just in a bad spot, and I think they're using Stefanski as a scapegoat here. Just like the Browns did, right? They had 8 quarterbacks, and just for the record, I do not think Devin Gabriel is a good professional quarterback. I understand
Gosh,
that
they're
Browns,
so dumb.
I speak very monotone, and my sarcasm does not always come through text message. I mean, my microphone. So sorry, my bad.
It was pretty obvious to me.
Right, but we've also been talking to each other for like 30 years at this point.
True.
So yeah, Stefanski messed up the Brown situation. Didn't want to start Shador. Didn't start Shador, did start Shador, just kind of did the whole thing there. And now they're putting him in Atlanta where he has another trying to make the best of a bad situation. You can't really say Penix is good. You can't really say Tua is currently good. They're both too injury prone to be called good quarterbacks. They're not consistent. The best ability is availability, and neither one of them have it. There's a legitimate possibility that they have to play both of them in the preseason, and they both get hurt in the preseason. And I don't want that upon anybody. I don't wish them to get hurt, which is why I said Trevor Siemian is going to be the starter week 1, because he's going to be best available. They let Kirk Cousins go, which is a terrible move for them, in my opinion, because now you don't have your safety net. You don't have your safety blanket to lay down and say, okay, we can at least get 500 with this guy. We can win half of our games and get 1 tie out of it with this guy. Now you don't have that, and so you are stuck. What do I think they do? I think they start Tua because he is more proven than Penix, and the body of work that we saw at Penix last year. But he was doing better at the end of the season, sure. But what we saw to Michael Penix is just not good enough to even win in the NFC South.
I'm almost positive that we will see both Michael Penix and Tua start games this season, whether that's because of poor play or injury or both. We will see both of these guys start games this year. I truly don't think it matters who the starting quarterback is for the Falcons, though. Michael Penix is okay at best, and Tua is the checkdown king. They're both just bad. I personally think that Michael Penix Jr. is going to start the season because of the investment that the Falcons have in him versus Tua, but I can see both of these quarterbacks starting games throughout the season. And I do want to just say real quick, I'm a big statistics guy, but Tua's completion percentage has to be the most fake completion percentage I've ever seen. If you just look at Tua's completion percentage, you think it's actually pretty good because it's almost always in the high 60s or low 70s. But as soon as you turn on the tape of Tua, you just see him checking the ball down to Devon Achane every time. If Tua ends up being the starting quarterback for the Falcons this year, you need to have Bijan Robinson on your fantasy team. Because if Tua starts, Bijan Robinson will easily have over 100 catches this year because he'll benefit from the Tua check down special. Nobody's open after 1 second and I don't want to get hit. Let me just check the ball down to my running back and let me boost my completion percentage real quick. But yeah, I truly don't think it matters who the Falcons have at quarterback. Kevin Stefanski's going to find a way to mess it up. So I don't think it matters. Anything else to add there?
Yeah, just this is a Semi-side note, we haven't started talking fantasy football yet for this upcoming season. But like you said, this is a good season to have Bijan Robinson. I also think because of their quarterback scenario, good season to have Kyle Pitts. The Falcons have a really good roster on paper, except for their quarterback spot, and I think that's going to put them in fourth place in the AFC or NFC South, excuse me. It's because they just won't get consistent play. Yeah. Behind
That's
the Saints,
a rough
behind the Bucs,
spot
behind
to
the
be
Panthers.
in a rough division.
That is a rough spot to be in.
And the
One
third
of the
worst
bottom
division.
3 divisions. So yeah, there's that.
Well, since we were just talking about Tua, let's talk about Tua's former team, the Miami Dolphins. And I guess we can say the Dolphins have a quarterback. But the question is, do you believe in Malik Willis as a starting quarterback?
No.
I think they're getting one guy out here. That's what I think is happening. I think by week 5, the Dolphins fans will be saying, we want Tua, the way college football programs say we want Bama. Like they thought they wanted that guy out of there, and then they got Malik Willis, who is going to be the same product that Matt Flynn and Matt Castle and Brian Hoyer and Jimmy Garoppolo. And I mean, you could just keep running through these quarterbacks who backed up Hall of Famers and came in, did well, and they got their own team and did not do as well. It's just not going to pan out the same. And Malik Willis has no one to play football with. It's him and Devon Achane. And it's just like, what are we doing out here? They got Jalen Tolbert from Dallas. They got Tutu Atwell from the Rams. And then they've got 3 rookies as their backup wide receivers. And I like you brought this guy in with a hope to succeed, and you just gave him nothing to succeed with. And so this is a poor move, roster-wise, top to bottom, by their GM, their player personnel team. They're setting Halfley up to just suck. There's a reason that the Dolphins and the the Cardinals are both viewed as number 1 in projected drafts for next year. It's because their roster is just bad. They've built a terrible roster in the offseason, and it just won't. I hope I'm wrong. I truly hope I'm wrong here. I don't think I am. Their offense is bad. Their defense is bad.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with Will at all. I think Malik Willis. How many games did he start? He only played
6.
4.
6.
He played 6.
Well, he started 6 games in his career.
Oh, geez.
His whole career? Wasn't he just last year?
I believe
last
so.
Last year he like looks like he started 2.
I'm looking it up right now just to double check that, but
Yeah, same.
He won 2 games, but those are the games he only threw 3 times total.
He started 1 game.
Yeah, so he started 3 games in 2022 in his rookie season. He started 1 game last year, and he started 2 games in 2024.
And in that one start, he lost that game.
He is 3-3 as a starter.
Yes.
Yeah, I just this just is giving like that kind of Jimmy Garoppolo energy where it's like, oh, you came in and like you didn't just totally shit the bed. Sorry, Dad. And so everyone's like, oh, this guy could be it, and we need a quarterback. We're gonna just dump some money on this guy. But
how much was his contract?
It was like $22 million a year for like 2 years.
Yeah, it's a 3-year, $67.5 million contract.
Okay, I would like to go back in time and apologize to Jacoby Brissett.
That was actually one of the arguments a lot of people made on that
That's
post.
what I'd like to do. So, Avery, over under 1,500 career passing yards for Malik Willis. You're taking the over or the under? 4 years.
Under for what? How much?
Passing yards for Malik Willis. The number is set at 1,500. Over or under that number. In 4 years of playing football, professional football. I know you're looking at the stats, so it's why I didn't ask you.
Oh, you're saying what he's done, not
what he has done
season.
so far.
Is it in his entire career so far?
In his entire career, over the last 4 years.
I would assume under.
Has he thrown more or less than 1,500 passing yards? 1,500.
I would assume less.
The answer is less.
Over or under 10 touchdown passes?
I would assume again under, because that's the kind of vibe we're going.
Yeah. That's the vibe I'm getting.
He has thrown 6
Because I don't know what
touchdown
point that
passes.
would make if it was over.
He has thrown 1,322 passing yards and 6 touchdowns in his career.
He has 105 completions in his career on less than 200 NFL passing attempts. And we gave this guy the keys to the kingdom in Miami?
You know what? Good for him. I see this as
make your
good
money.
job. You were at the right place, the right time. Someone got hurt at the right time. You stepped in, didn't just absolutely suck. And, you got the bag, and Jacoby had to watch that, Poor him. Good for Malik Willis. He's not going to do well because he's not going into a good system. So, even if he was a great quarterback going in there, there's only so much he can do. So, I think the Dolphins got to rebuild, and I think this is the beginning of it. So, I think it's going to be a tough few years in Miami.
Yeah. Not only did the Dolphins pay Malik Willis a contract that he probably didn't deserve, but they just didn't give him offensive pieces to succeed, like Will already mentioned. He's got Devon Achane at running back and literally nobody else. Yes, they brought in all these new wide receivers, but 3 of those guys are rookies, and among the guys who do have NFL experience, the most receiving yards of any of those guys that they've ever had in a season is 610. The Dolphins did Malik Willis no favors with who he has to throw the ball to, and it's not going to go well. I don't believe in Malik Willis to be a long-term franchise quarterback regardless of the weapons, but he's going to fail with what the Dolphins have given him.
I don't know what numbers you can get for punting yards in a season, but Bradley Pinion is the Miami Dolphins punter. I would hit the over like nobody else's business. That dude's going to be punting the ball all over the place. So yeah, not good for the Dolphins. Not good for Dolphins fans. It's going to be a rough season.
Agreed. Well, our next team is the New York Jets, who currently have Geno Smith, Brady Cook, and 4th-round pick Cade Klubnik as their top 3 quarterbacks. So, Avery, if you were the Jets, what would be your plan at quarterback?
This may come as a surprise to you guys, but I'm actually a little excited to see what Geno does in his second go-around here. I know granted, Geno is a professional. He's not just on the field, but off the field. And, his comments he made when he re-signed, I know the internet was like, dude, that is rough. Like, that's like getting divorced from, like, a really toxic relationship and then just getting back, being like, nothing's wrong. Everything was fine. I don't know why we got divorced. This will be fine. There's nothing can go wrong here. But he was very upbeat. He was very optimistic about it. And I'm actually kind of sharing his optimism. I think the Jets, you guys can clip this. I think the Jets' fortune is going to begin to start turning around.
I like how you were very specific. I like how you were very
my
specific
words
right
wisely
there.
here. I'm being very intentional.
Don't worry about it.
I think the Jets are starting to make some better moves, and I think Geno, whether or not he does fantastic here, I think this will be a good thing for the Jets. Who was the other guy? Brady Cook?
Brady Cook.
Is that his name? Yeah, that guy's trash. That guy's dog
cooked.
Water. He's
That's what Bailey Zappi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd pick Zappi over Brady Cook. But I think Cade Klubnik, really curious to see how he does. I think he got kind of lost in the sauce his last half of college. I think he was supposed to be a lot better than he was. Clemson just had some weird meltdown recently. Yeah. I just don't know what's going on.
Everybody on that team.
The team and the players, as prospects, everyone, everything just melted down. So I'm hoping he can kind of break out of that and make a little name for himself. The Jets would be the place to do it. Hard, very uphill grind, but I think my boy Kenyon Sadiq can help these quarterbacks find success.
I'm going to agree with Avery, although I don't necessarily believe in Geno Smith, but I really like what the Jets are doing. However, if I'm the Jets, I just want to get to the 2027 NFL draft. Let's play out the season and see what we have with these guys that we just drafted and brought in free agency. But can we just skip to the 2027 NFL draft? The Jets have set themselves up incredibly well for the 2027 NFL draft to where they have 3 first-round picks and double-digit picks overall. I really like what the Jets did in the 2026 NFL draft, but really their future depends on finding the right quarterback in 2027. And I hope the Jets scouting department can find the right guy for this team because the Jets simply can't afford another Zach Wilson. If they end up drafting the wrong guy again, their playoff drought is going to extend to 20 years, maybe 25 years, and that would truly be a shame with how well they've started off this rebuild because I really like what they've done so far. I truly don't think it matters who the Jets have at quarterback this year. Just make it to the 2027 NFL draft and pick the right guy.
Who do you think that guy might be?
Not Arch Manning.
Probably not Dante Moore.
That's who they're going to pick, guaranteed. Because it's the wrong guy, they will pick Dante Moore.
They'll get Dante Moore at number 3. I think it's a steal.
I'd be so depressed. For everyone, for both parties, I'd be depressed. Ugh.
Will, do you have any thoughts on the Jets?
Yeah, I'm going to stay on the hype train here. They've got 3 first-round picks next year. They had 3 first-round picks this year, which is just wild. In 2 years, 6 first-round picks.
That's crazy.
Like, that's crazy.
That's some Madden stuff right there.
That is absolutely Madden stuff. All they did was get actual weapons. David Bailey, defensive weapon. Omar Cooper Jr. can absolutely be an offensive weapon as a receiver. And then Kenyon Sadiq, probably the most athletically gifted tight end we've seen in a long time. And so Geno, as mentioned, is a professional. He's an absolute professional who knows how to play football. He almost carried Seattle to the playoffs, on a team that was not as good as the team they have now, or had, I guess. And so who better to have Klubnik, right? Klubnik, thank you. Who better to have Cade Klubnik learn from than a guy who's been around the league, who's seen it, multiple offenses, multiple styles, who's pretty much played for everyone and kind of knows how every different locker room works, knows how different systems work. I think having Geno as the starter to learn from that guy, he's not the best talent in the NFL, but I think he's very Ryan Fitzpatrick-esque, how he's been everywhere and done everything, and he just kind of knows this is what's going to be acceptable. This is what we need to do. This is how good programs perform. This is how bad programs perform. So he's seen both sides of it. And I want to say shout out to the Jets for keeping Aaron Glenn. It's real easy. Just we had a bad season. You're out of here, dude. But they've got trust in their head coach, and you can see it on the sideline. Aaron Glenn loves football. That guy loves to be a head coach. That guy loves it when his team does good. He gets on them when their team does bad. He is legitimately trying to win. The GM, the director of player personnel, the president of player personnel, they might want that team to suck for luck or whatever it is in this year's draft. But Aaron Glenn is not going to play that game. He would rather lose his job by winning 12 games and getting a mid or early 20s pick than suck it up and then get a high draft pick. Now, I don't think the Jets get 12 wins. Please don't clip that. That is not a thing I actually believe. Just stating over-exaggerations. I think they also brought in a bunch of free agents, veteran free agents for their defense to make them better, and then drafted well in the offense. I like what the Jets are doing this year. And the good news for the Jets is they're not the worst in the AFC East. The Dolphins get that one. So they'll get third place this year, and I don't think they get second place. But they definitely don't get fourth place. So, hey, good for you. Good for you, New York. Well, New Jersey.
Yeah.
Also, Will, just so you know, Geno Smith did make the playoffs with the Seahawks one time in 3 years as a starter, lost in the wild card round in his first season as starter.
Still, you made it there, though, and that's not nothing. Now, we say that good for Geno, but we say that bad for every other quarterback. But it's Geno, and he's very lovable. That's the difference. We like that guy.
All right, do you guys have anything else to add with either the Jets, Dolphins, or Falcons before we move on?
I mentioned this last week. If you're a fan of these teams, just buckle up because it's going to be a rough season. Maybe less so for the Jets.
At least they have promise. The Jets have some promise.
I think if you're a Jets fan, your expectations are already like, well, let's try to get one whole hand worth of wins. And I think that's very attainable this year. I have not gone to the Jets over-under to figure out what their win-loss record could be. But I think they might win some games. They might get a whole 5, maybe 6 games this year. Which, hey, it could be worse.
I'm going to clip that part and then put the word 12 in there instead of the 5.
Hey, they could get 12 wins. No.
All right. So let's move on to our next topic, which is, what is that? Was that part of your pants?
We all know what that
is. Part of my ripped pants.
Will just shredded his pants before the show started, just so everybody knows.
Don't trust a fart, kids.
We saw it all.
I'd stand up, but again, I don't want to get a strike.
There's remnants of pants just all over the room. Just
let me tell you this: I can see my thigh both above and below my waistline. Wait, not my waistline. In the middle of my pants here. Why don't you just change him? It's for the bit.
All right, let's move on to our next topic, which is which team do you think made the riskiest move this offseason? Avery, why don't we start with you?
Ooh. I don't know if it's necessarily risky, but I think it's a move that could be very beneficial for them, and maybe even in a roundabout way. And I think that is Kyler Murray to the Vikings. I think this is going to kind of light a fire under everything. I know everyone already saw that video of 9 flexing his maturity during those interviews. Dude, like, you gotta have someone around you that can tell you that's not a good look ever. Especially when they're interviewing both of you, dude. They're gonna put them side by side, and if you get Kyler Murray saying, "Yeah, no, it's great," yeah, learning a lot here. I'm teaching him all I can, and then you got him being like, "Yeah, he's just the other guy at the other side of the room. It's the coach's job to train us." They're like, "Oh, is it awkward with him?" Like I said, he's just the other side of the room. It's like, dude.
I'd like to mention on that, you notice that he said the other side of the high school classroom?
Yeah.
Dude went to Michigan for 3 years. Couldn't say college. I feel like college is more like, there's 300 people in this lecture hall. It's just, he's just another guy in the lecture hall. But we went all the way back to high school. I don't know. That felt weird to me.
It's because he looks like he's still in high school.
He
thought he was still in high school.
It's just a bad look. And to me, especially when you're giving yourself a nickname like 9, it's like, dude, okay, this is just really looking bad. And if you don't absolutely show out, it's only going to backfire. So to me, I think I never really, I know Will has also been on this train for a while. 9 is not the answer for this team. I think Sam Darnold was a much better fit. I don't know what all happened this past year that made the Vikings just kind of really regress. But I think that Kyler Murray's presence will help this team and ultimately kind of reveal what needs to be revealed for this team to progress further. And whether that's getting rid of 9 or letting everyone see kind of what is going on, I think this will accelerate it and ultimately help. So I'm excited to watch the Vikings this season.
Will, who do you have as the team that made the riskiest move this offseason?
Again, I don't know if it's the riskiest move this offseason, but it's I think there's a lot of risk in this one. I think I'm going to go with the Chiefs signing Kenneth Walker. I think Kenneth Walker's a good running back, and I think it's twofold here. I think it's the Chiefs signing Kenneth Walker and the Seahawks not being able to retain Kenneth Walker. I think both of these fall in the same bucket because Kenneth Walker is a very passable running back, Super Bowl MVP. And I don't want to say by default, but who else were they going to give it to, honestly?
The kicker.
And so it should have been to Jason Myers, but they couldn't possibly do that. And so I feel like they're getting, dare I say again, one guy by Kenneth Walker. He had one good season. He's had good seasons in the past. We had one pretty good season where he didn't perform well the entire season, but he performed well when it mattered. And the Chiefs don't need the perfect running back. They just need a good enough running back. And maybe the Chiefs can't win that the Cardinals were going to draft. What's his bucket? Jeremiah Love, thank you. And so they're like, okay, so we can't rely on that. And so they went out and they signed Kenneth Walker to a big deal. Is it $14.3 million per year? Yeah, which is fourth most at the position. And so that's a big signing at a position the Chiefs don't utilize that much. Not that they don't use their running backs. They're just definitely a pass first team. I don't really like the move. I think it's going to come back to bite them in the butt maybe next year or year after when they have to sign more players. I think it was a bit of a reach for them, and I don't think it'll pan out. I think Kenneth Walker, who has been subject or prone to getting hurt in the past, unfortunately, I think that might happen again. He had one good season, and now we're back on them possibly getting hurt train again. And so I don't like that the Seattle let him go. I also don't like that the Chiefs went ahead and paid him a lot of money too. But Kenneth Walker, good for him. He was getting a lot of money, and so he went where the money was. Get his bag, and so whatever. And I said this before in this microphone, but the swap that happened from Seahawks fans of, he's the best, we got to get this guy, to, he wasn't even that good. I mean, we still have Charbonnet. We're fine. It's just not true. I think he'll have a good season in Kansas City so long as he can stay healthy, but Kansas City's offensive line's been a problem for a long time, and I don't really see no matter what moves and changes they made, I don't really see it being much different.
So the Seahawks drafted Jadarian Price in the first round. Do you think he's going to be able to fill in for Kenneth Walker, or do you think the Seahawks running game will take a step back?
So he doesn't have to fill in for Kenneth Walker, right? He has to fill in for Zach Charbonnet. And Charbonnet has to fill in for Kenneth Walker. And I think Charbonnet can fill in for Kenneth Walker. And I think Jadarian Price can fill in for Zach Charbonnet. I think that Charbonnet had a promotion by default. Hey, our other guy quit, so now you have his job. And what the Seahawks did is what corporate America's not doing is they're not making Charbonnet do both jobs. They went out and got a guy to do the other job. And so I think the expectation will be lower on Price, and so he will be able to meet that expectation, where for Charbonnet, he's been in the system for years now. He will be able to perform the way they want him to in the role of Kenneth Walker.
I'm just kind of on the side that I just don't think running backs are going to make a huge impact. I feel like the older I get, the more I just kind of become disillusioned with running backs in general. And I feel like maybe the running back position might be the only one where I feel like there's only at any given time like 3 running backs that are like, okay, no, you're like legitimately changing the game, and everyone else is like, they're just there to run the ball, and it's really just comes down to the defense and the offensive line that allows them to do anything. It's kind of a black pill take, but I just don't think it matters that much whether he goes there or not. I mean, he is in Kansas City, but I don't think it's going to do much. I think the fact that he won the Super Bowl helped him a little bit more, but I don't think it's going to change anything in Kansas City.
I agree. All right, well, for my team that made the riskiest move, I'm going to go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I feel like the Buccaneers made some of the riskiest moves of the offseason, specifically letting Mike Evans test free agency and ultimately end up on another team. The Buccaneers could have put the franchise tag on Mike Evans this offseason, but instead they chose not to. And part of me is terrified that move is going to blow up in their face because they lost the best offensive player in franchise history. But the other part of me says, they've got Ibuka, they've got Tez, they've got Ted Hurst, who is not Mike Evans, but he has a similar size and similar skill set to Mike Evans. They've got a healthy Chris Godwin now. The Buccaneers letting Mike Evans leave feels similar to the Seahawks getting rid of DK Metcalf. The way they ended up somewhere else is different, but the thought process behind letting them go feels similar to me. The Seahawks traded DK Metcalf and put a lot of faith in JSN to be the guy, and it worked out great for them. Well, the Buccaneers let Mike Evans become a free agent because they have all the faith in the world in Ibuka to be their next guy. So is it a big risk? Absolutely, but it's also a risk that could lead to a big reward. And I'm not saying Ibuka is going to have 1,800 yards, but I believe Ibuka will take the next step and will be their wide receiver 1. And then you could kind of say the same thing about the Buccaneers letting go of Jamel Dean. He's not a Hall of Famer like Mike Evans, but he was the best corner for the Bucs last season, and he's been a solid piece for this team throughout his career. Well, the Buccaneers let him test free agency because they have confidence in their 2 second-year corners, one of whom played very well last season as a rookie. So I feel like both moves are going to be boom or bust for this team. It's either going to go really well or very poorly.
I'm excited to see how it goes. I'm very optimistic about it. I think it's going to go very well. I'm kind of like Joel. I've decided to go kind of all in on this. I think the Bucs are going to have themselves a season.
Yeah, Will, I don't think we told you this, but I texted Avery a couple weeks ago now, and I said, dude, I'm just going to go full delusional on the Buccaneers this year. You want to join me? And he was like, wait, what do you mean? And I was like, just thinking that they're going to win the Super Bowl like every other fan base does. So we're going all
already there. I thought you were already there. I've listened to you speaking to that microphone you've got in front of you. I thought you were already there. This is not new news.
It can always
be
more.
The difference between you and I is that my team actually has a shot.
Okay.
Well,
guess what, Will? Your team's colors weren't in the Super Bowl logo, so I'm sorry you're not making it.
Yeah, I know. It's a problem.
Both the Buccaneers colors, their regular colors and their throwback colors are in that logo, so they've got twice the shot that you have.
Nice. Look up Super Bowl. Is it 61? Is it 60? What Super Bowl are we on?
The Super Bowl after last Super Bowl.
You telling me that yellow isn't Rams
what yellow?
The very top of the X, the L and the X. I think you're crazy. Is this? Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong.
It's
Super Bowl.
LXI. It's LXI. LX just happened.
The LXI, but the yellow at the top of the L and the X. That's for sure Rams blue.
No, it's not.
Look,
that's Dolphins
let me
colors.
see this.
That's Dolphins colors.
Allow me to be delusional. Well, let me tell you, they picked that those colors because the Dolphins for sure aren't making it.
Did you find it, Avery?
Yeah, it's just that teal and orange.
61, by the way. This is Super Bowl 61.
Yeah, I don't think that. I think that's like Chiefs yellow. That's on the orange side of yellow. SoFi, is that LA's stadium?
Yeah. And who won the Super Bowl last time it was in Los Angeles?
So that means they're going to win it again automatically?
I mean, naturally.
Because only 2 teams in NFL history have ever done that, by the way.
And when it's back in Tampa Bay, we can say the same thing.
I was going to say, that's yeah, the 2 teams, the Buccaneers and Rams. Wasn't it back-to-back years that they did that too?
It was. Brady did it in 2020, and the Rams did it in 2021.
All right, well, Avery, give us your second team that you have who made the riskiest moves this offseason.
Ooh, I think signing Daniel Jones, the Colts.
The Colts is one of mine, too.
I like it. I think it is risky, but I don't know. If you're the Colts, if you're that kind of small market, hometown kind of franchise, I think you kind of have to play it a little more conservatively. And what I mean is, like, you had success with Daniel Jones, like a lot of success, especially, before he got hurt. And I think at this point, it's like, dude, what have you really had since Peyton Manning? What have you really had? And I guess Andrew Luck, but even then. I just think, like, dude, you got to stick with this guy. Like, I know that the Achilles injury is a little sketch. The timetable and his availability is going to be a little weird. I think it's the right move. I think otherwise you kind of start back from square one. So I think it is risky. I think it could very easily not pan out. But if I was a Colts fan, I would want it. I would want to see how much gas is left in this tank. I want to see where Daniel Jones could take us.
I love that more than anything we've ever done on this show. Clip it.
Brought to you by Banana Cream Olipop.
In my pants. Or what's left of them.
That's an ad. Let's get some Olipop money, Joel.
Okay.
Look, let's stick with the Colts. Yeah, I got another one. Let's stick with the Colts.
I don't even know where to go now.
Let's stick with the Colts. I think this kind of got swept under the radar. By under the radar, I mean so much other stuff has happened since then. I want to bring it back up because of how stupid it was, I think. I think the Colts signing Alec Pierce to a $114 million contract. I think that's pretty risky on their move. In 2025, he did hit career highs in receptions, targets, and receiving yards with 84, 47, and 1,003, respectively. But that's not Jamar Chase numbers. That's not Puka numbers. That's not Jackson Smith and Jigba numbers. That's not even Justin Jefferson numbers when Justin Jefferson is a quarterback. I just think that the Colts full committed to a guy that they drafted. I think they drafted him. They also traded away Micah Pittman Jr., pretty much solidifying, like, we're going with this guy. Not that Alec Pierce isn't a good wide receiver. He's just not top-end NFL talent that we've seen so far. And so signing him to as big a contract as they did, I think is a pretty risky move on their part.
I agree. I'm just basically going to say the exact same thing as Will. Maybe the riskiest move of the offseason is the Colts giving Alec Pierce a 4-year, $114 million contract and betting on him to be their true wide receiver one. Pierce is coming off a 1,003-yard season, but the production wasn't nearly as consistent as the 1,000 number may suggest. In 6 of his 15 games last year, Pierce had 2 or fewer catches, and in 5 games, he had fewer than 50 yards, including games with 36, 26, 16, and 0 yards. And in every single one of those games, he didn't have a touchdown. That's a lot of money for a guy who was a non-factor that often. But it's not just about money. The Colts also traded Michael Pittman Jr. to the Steelers and didn't really do anything to replace his production on offense. So the Colts aren't paying for the player who had 47 catches for just over 1,000 yards. They're paying for a player who they believe can handle true wide receiver one volume every week. And that's a massive gamble based on what Alec Pierce has done to this point in his career. Because being an elite deep threat and being a true wide receiver one are 2 very different things. So I think the Colts paying Alec Pierce that much money is a very, very risky move. And personally, I don't think it's going to pay off for them.
I don't like it either, but going off what I had just said about the Colts, I do like that they stick with their people. This really has very little to do with football, but the Spurs just won the Western Conference Finals, which is a big deal, especially considering that was kind of like the real NBA Finals. Like, whoever won that was going to win it all. The Knicks, New York will be destroyed regardless, but the Knicks will lose. But all that to say is that the Spurs are one of those teams that has always had that homegrown talent that like stays loyal. They take care of their guys. I mean, even seeing Popovich now after like post-stroke and the other players kind of rallying around him and everything, I feel like Indianapolis kind of has that feel to it. So, when you're not a big city, when you don't have that big city appeal, I think it's important that you find your own kind of brand, find your own, I don't know, style or allure to get players over there. And I think, if you got somebody that's doing well, you reward them rather than just, shipping them off or whatever. I think that says a lot. Whether or not, I don't think it's the smartest thing necessarily, but, helping your own people, I think that does a lot more inside that organization than it does outside the organization. So even though we might not like it, I think that does a lot for locker room morale.
I agree. Do you guys have any other teams that you'd like to throw into the mix here? I have one more, but I feel like I'd give you guys an opportunity to go before me.
I have a safe move. I think I misunderstood it was all risky moves, but that's a me problem, not a you problem. I have an incredibly safe move that I liked a lot. I think the safest move this offseason was the Raiders signing Kirk Cousins. They had the number 1 pick. They knew they were getting Mendoza, but yet they full on said, hey, we don't want to start this guy. So let's go out and get a proven veteran. And we don't need him to be an all-star because we're the Raiders. We're still rebuilding. But then bringing in Kirk Cousins gives them a surefire starter, a surefire professional who, again, just like I said about Geno, he's played in a lot of different systems. He's played for good teams. He's played for bad teams. He knows how to win. He knows what it's like to be on a losing team. And he's just an overall positive guy. And so I think it was a really good move for them to bring him in, even though they knew they were taking a quarterback at number 1 overall and that they have a future already. To bring in a guy just to be a stopgap that's not an Aaron Rodgers type, because Aaron Rodgers is a 1-year geriatric, who knows what we're going to get out of him kind of stopgap. Well, I guess it's more than 1 year total, but 1 more year. And so I like what the Raiders did there. We talked a lot about this in the past, but that was just wanted to bring it up again.
It's always good to have Kirk O'Chains on your team to bring some positivity.
You like that?
All right, well, I've got one more team here. I think the Jaguars not re-signing Travis Etienne was a big risk. I don't even think that's real. I don't know if I'm supposed to say Travis Etienne or Travis Etienne. I don't know what I'm supposed to say anymore.
Oh, yeah.
But anyways, I think the Jaguars not re-signing Travis Etienne was a big risk. Etienne had 260 carries for over 1,100 yards and 7 touchdowns on the ground last season, while also adding 36 catches for 292 yards and 6 touchdowns receiving. So the Jaguars are going to have to replace over 1,300 yards and 13 touchdowns of offense in their backfield. They're trying to do that with Chris Rodriguez. Chris Rodriguez was productive last year, but he only had 112 carries, which was a career high for him, and he dealt with multiple injuries. Throw that in with the fact that Chris Rodriguez has a total of 6 catches for 54 yards in 3 years, and that's not looking promising for the Jaguars' backfield. Now, they do have second-year running back Bashal Tutin, but he didn't do a whole lot either on the ground or as a pass catcher last year. At least not enough to where I don't consider letting Travis Etienne go a big risk. Now, Travis Etienne did receive a big contract in free agency, so I understand the Jaguars not wanting to pay him that money, but they're trying to replace the production of Travis Etienne with Chris Rodriguez, and I think it's a big risk. But if the risk pays off, they'd be doing it at a much cheaper price. So it's a big risk for them, but if it pays off, I think it's going to look really good because of the money that they didn't have to pay to Travis Etienne. But I just don't know if it's going to pay off. That's the thing. Because Chris Rodriguez hasn't proven that he can, 1, handle that type of workload, and 2, that he's that type of player that can be productive both on the ground and as a receiver. So I think the Jaguars made a pretty risky move for their backfield there.
Yeah, this just feels like a lot of these kind of crappy teams that get a really good player and then just lose them. And you look back at it and you're like, how did this happen? Like, you just forget Derrick Henry played for the Titans. It's like, what happened here? Like, you guys just... What's the point of drafting these guys? You get a high draft pick, you get them. your team still sucks because you don't have enough good players, and they just slip through your fingers. So I feel like it's kind of the problem with a lot of these crappy teams is really just this. You get some really good talent, and then they end up just leaving. And part of that is kind of the inverted side of what we were talking about with Alex Pierce, where it's like, it's okay. You have these guys, like Alec Pierce, who's, okay. He's not a superstar, but you keep him on, But then also you have these crappy teams that have really good talent. And you're like, well, what's the point of paying him? We're not going to go anywhere. Like, this team isn't that great. Let's just get rid of him, maybe get some draft picks, and then stock back up. And it's like, okay, but the whole point of those draft picks is to get the players that you're now just getting rid of. So it'll be interesting to see how they do this season, because the Jaguars were looking like they were on the up and up.
Yeah.
So.
But they made some pretty risky moves, like I just mentioned with the running back room, and then they didn't re-sign Devin Lloyd, who was a really good linebacker for their defense last year. So they're going to have to replace his production as well, which is another move that was risky that I didn't mention. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I believe in the Jaguars this year, to be honest. Well, that's all I had. Do you guys have any other players or teams you'd like to talk about before we wrap up?
Squilliam?
Yeah, just real quick. I think this is not really like the riskiest move, but I think it's still a pretty risky move. The Bills signing DJ Moore this offseason, trading for him?
Traded a second-round pick for him.
There it is. Traded a second-round pick and then paid him, didn't they? Man, see, I don't have this right in front of my face. Now I'm looking like a fool with my pants on the ground. Literally at this point. DJ Moore. Oh, he's a fully guaranteed contract? Yikes. Anyway, the Bills trading for what would have been the number 3 or number 4 option in Chicago for a second-round pick, when we just don't see that kind of value out of anybody, wide receiver-wise or running back-wise. Now, I understand he's a wide receiver. But most offensive players that aren't quarterbacks don't go for this level of value. And second-round pick, it's not that bad, but some absolute Hall of Fame legends come out of the second round. You still have a lot of really good talent there. I just feel like they overpaid for a guy that's going to be underwhelming. It's not going to solve the problems that the Bills have offensively. I think this was Joe Brady trying to be the big man on campus and say, look, I can get this guy fits my scheme. Let's go do the thing. And it's just not going to pan out. I think it has a really, really high ceiling and a really low floor. There's a huge, huge window for this, the return on investment here for this DJ Moore trade. And I'm excited to see it pan out because I do want the Bills to do well, mostly because I like Josh Allen. But besides that, the Bills or whatever, I just don't really see this going well for the Bills in the long term or the long run.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's going to help, but I don't know if it was necessarily enough.
Well, and they still have Keon Coleman, who knows what's going on there. So, I don't know. They like that guy. They don't like that guy. Then they bring in more wide receiver help. It's just not... What I don't want to see happen, and because we haven't talked about this team yet, I don't want to see the Bills turn into the Eagles, where you've got all this internal turmoil, and everybody wants out, but everybody wants to be there because they're good. Their quarterback is still playing pretty good. Now, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, different level of quarterbacks. One's won the Super Bowl, one hasn't. Clearly, one is better. That's not actually what I'm saying.
You'd be surprised how many people actually.
I know. That's the problem. Since I brought him up, would you want AJ Brown on your team? Avery?
Nope.
Really? Joel?
I guess it kind of depends on where I'm at, because the Patriots, like if I'm the Patriots don't have anybody at receiver.
I meant the Buccaneers specifically. Your guys' team, the Buccaneers.
Oh, no.
Do you want him? No. Why not?
No.
You already have enough?
Because,
don't need more?
Because I feel like the Buccaneers have a wide receiver room where if you just look at like Chris Godwin and Ibuka, like two very different types of players, not to say that there couldn't be some sort of issue that arises or anything with the Buccaneers wide receiver room, but those guys just don't feel like those type of receivers. They feel like the type of receivers who do not care if it's them or if it's one of their teammates who gets a touchdown or who gets a catch. AJ Brown is very much, if you don't give me the ball, I'm going to be pissed. Like, I don't see that from Chris Godwin. I don't see that from Ibuka. I'm not going to see that from Tez. You're not going to see that from any of the guys on the Buccaneers, but you are going to see that from AJ Brown. So, yes, he is very talented. He's a very good receiver, but I do not think that I would want him on the Buccaneers because he doesn't fit the personality of specifically that wide receiver room.
He does fit the body style of the guy you just lost, though, and the receiving style of the guy you just lost.
True.
But personality does matter a lot, too. You have to be a good fit in the team.
But Mike Evans also did not have that A.J. Brown personality.
I don't think outwardly, no. But you can kind of see it, and see it as you can kind of assume it, I guess, by the way they forced his 1,000-yard season 2 seasons ago. Now, I would assume that wasn't his doing. I assume that's Baker trying to boast his own teammate. And I thought it was a really cool moment in sports when they kept, every down, you knew the ball was going to Mike Evans so he get his 1,000-yard season. It was really cool to watch as a fan. But it could be construed as Mike Evans demanding it to meet some sort of threshold, or whatever. Right? You can kind of spin that however you want, but you just didn't hear it out. You didn't hear it outwardly, and that's the big difference. Is it didn't leave the locker. Right. If it was there, it didn't leave the locker room.
Right. So even if he does have that personality, he doesn't say it out loud like A.J. Brown does.
Well, until he gets to San Francisco, and that team sucks. So.
All right, well, let's go ahead and wrap it up. So I just want to say thank you again to everyone who's supporting us on social media. Please continue to do so. And as always, don't forget to keep your balls played with. We'll see you next time.
Bye now, y'all. Just the way that wedding ring showed it was so prominent, Avery.
Oh, yeah.
It's so prominent.
I can't be tickling balls as much anymore.
I ruined it. What do you think? Goodbye. Also, Mark Davis' haircut still sucks.